Ever wished your AI could not just, talk, but actually do things, like really get stuff done, scheduling meetings, maybe designing something, automating tasks? Well, today we're kind of unlocking the secret to that. Model Context Protocols, MCPs. We're digging into a really interesting video from YouTube creator Shubham Sharma. Seeing how these MCPs work, we might even see if tools like Notebook LM can help break this down further. This is what Let's Low Podcast to Phil is diving into right now, and honestly, it feels essential if you're curious about where AI is headed. Welcome to the deep dive.
So our mission today, to demystify these MCPs. They really seem poised to transform how we use AI agents, how we automate things. We're talking about moving AI from just chatting to actually, taking concrete action. And it's all based on the insights from that Shubham Sharma video.
Exactly. It's a really exciting development because for a long time, AI had all this potential, right? But it kept hitting this wall when it came to actually doing stuff in the real world. MCPs, well, they're kind of that missing bridge. They let AI go beyond just talking and actually integrate with the tools we use every single day. It's a pretty fundamental shift, really, how AI gets tasks done.
Okay, let's break that down. We all know about large language models, right?
Yeah.
ChatGPT, Claude.
Yeah.
They're amazing at generating text.
Oh, absolutely incredible. Ask for an essay, a poem, whatever.
But there's a limit, isn't there? They're essentially text-based. Brains in a vat, almost.
That's a good way to put it. They're basically super sophisticated prediction machines, predicting the next word based on tons of internet data. Brilliant conversationalists, yeah, but they don't perform actions. They can't just send an email for you or make a document in your Google Drive or mess with a 3D model. They're just not connected up in a way that lets them act.
Right. So if they were just text-based, how did people first try to, bridge that action gap? I know APIs, application programming interfaces, were involved.
They were, yeah. That was the early approach.
But it sounds like that ran into problems pretty quickly.
It really did. APIs were an attempt, but the scaling and complexity just became massive issues. See, the core problem is diversity. Every single app, Gmail, Notion, Spotify, you name it, has its own unique API, its own way of talking. So if you wanted an LLM to talk to, say, 20 different apps,
right,
developers had to build custom one-off integrations from every single one.
And that's the NXM problem I've heard about.
Precisely. It's a classic software scaling nightmare. You have N LLMs, M applications. To get them all talking, you need N times M integrations. It just explodes. Hugely inefficient.
But hang on, couldn't clever developers build like a layer on top, abstraction layer? Why was it so broken that we needed something totally new? Even with OpenAI's huge budget,
That's a really sharp point. And yeah, people tried abstraction layers, but the fundamental issue didn't go away. These custom API links, they weren't just expensive and slow to build, they were incredibly fragile, like super brittle. An app developer makes one small change to their API and boom, your integration breaks. Back to square one. Shubham Sharma mentioned this too. It wasn't about money. Even OpenAI's billions couldn't fix a fundamentally fragmented system. Throwing cash at it just builds more expensive, breakable connections. It doesn't solve the need for a common language. It's like trying to connect everything with a unique cable instead of just agreeing on USB-C.
Right, which is the perfect segue. It brings us right to the revolution. Model Context Protocol, MCP. And this is where Anthropic, the Claude folks, came in. They saw this mess and thought, we need a standard.
Exactly right. Anthropic spotted this critical bottleneck. They realized that relying on all these custom APIs just wasn't going to work for the future of truly useful AI agents. So MCP is designed to be that universal language, a common way for LLMs and all sorts of different apps to talk and understand each other, no matter how they're built underneath.
So it really is like USB-C for AI. A single standard everyone agrees on. That simplifies everything.
That's a great analogy, yeah. Think about phones before USB-C. Micro USB, Lightning, weird proprietary plugs. It was a mess. USB-C became the standard. MCP aims to do the same thing for AI and software tools. One standard way to connect, eliminating all those fragile NXM custom jobs.
Okay, that genuinely sounds like a huge deal.
Yeah.
So what are the actual benefits for the AIs, for the tools, and I guess for us using them?
The benefits are massive, really. For the LLMs, the AI agents, they don't need to learn dozens of different API languages anymore. Just one, MCP. That makes it way easier for them to connect to the digital world and actually do things. And for the tools, the applications, they only need to expose their functions once using the MCP standard. No more building custom links for every single AI agent that comes along. And the bottom line for you, the user, it empowers these AI agents, the ones that can take action, to connect seamlessly, reliably. It just opens up huge possibilities for automation.
Okay, I'm starting to see it. In the video, you mentioned Shubham Sharma. They had some pretty cool demos. Let's get into those. First one, Notion and Claude. How does this MCP thing work there?
Right, this is where it gets tangible. So Notion, the workspace tool lots of people use, it now has an MCP server. This means an LLM like Claude can connect straight to it. In the demo, Claude was creating new pages in Notion, building a database, even adding specific properties like a status, a column, or tags. And the key thing, it did all this without needing specific instructions on how Notion's own API works. Claude just understands the tools available via MCP and gets it done.
Whoa. So no more digging through Notion's API documentation. Claude just knows how to use Notion via MCP. What does that unlock?
Exactly. It totally bypasses all that old complexity. And it's not just about creating one page. It means an AI could potentially manage your entire workflow inside Notion, adapting dynamically. Imagine asking Claude, hey, plan my new project, set up a task database, assign deadlines based on priority, and it just does it. That's like a whole new level of personal assistant.
Okay, mine's slightly blown. What about the next demo? N8N. That's an automation tool, right? Open source. Sounds more complex.
It is, yeah. N8N is super powerful, kind of like Zapier or Make, but open source. And this demo is pretty advanced. Shubham showed Claude setting up a really complex automation from just one prompt. Think about this. You publish a YouTube video, and Claude automatically sets up the workflow to post about it on Twitter X, send an email through Gmail, log in an Airtable, and send a WhatsApp SMS all in one go. What was really impressive was Claude handling these nodes within N8N, stuff that usually needs a developer to configure.
And Shubham mentioned running N8N yourself, self-hosting it. What's the deal there?
He did, yeah. Instead of using N8N's cloud service, which costs money, he showed it running on his own virtual private server, a VPS. Basically, a VPS is your own little private server space online. You manage it yourself. It gives you more control, maybe better privacy depending on your setup, and often it's cheaper than the managed cloud options, especially if you run lots of automations. It's about owning your automation stack.
Gotcha. Okay, seriously impressive stuff. The last demo was Blender, the 3D software. That's different. Again, it runs locally on your computer, right?
Yeah.
How do MCPs work there?
Yeah, this one's fascinating because it shows MCPs aren't just for web services. They can work with desktop apps too. So Claude connected to Blender using a local MCP server running on the machine. The results were just wild. Claude made a 3D basketball just from a text prompt. Then it built a detailed sandcastle, adding the meshes, the polygons, textures based on a description, and maybe an inspiration image. The LLM is literally talking to Blender step by step, telling it how to build these complex 3D scenes.
You know, I immediately thought of all the hours I've tried and failed to learn Blender's interface. The idea that an AI could just get my idea and build it, that lowers the barrier massively, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It completely changes the game for accessibility. It shifts from how do I use this complex tool to what cool thing do I want to create? It's almost like having a professional assistant for every piece of software you own, no matter how technical you are.
Truly amazing. Okay, stepping back a bit. How does this work under the hood? What's the technical setup for MCPs?
So at its heart, it's a client-server thing. Pretty standard model. You have the server that could be Notion's MCP server online, or Blender's running locally. That server basically advertises its capabilities. It tells the client, which is the AI agent like Claude, here are the tools I have, here's the data I can work with, here are the kinds of commands I understand. Then the client makes requests using that standard MCP language. It's just a structured conversation between the AI and the app.
And you mentioned different types of servers, online, local?
Exactly. Online services like Notion, local tools like Blender, and even self-hosted platforms like that N8N example. But the key is they all speak the same MCP language. That's the unifying part.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about official servers versus maybe unofficial ones made by the community? Any reason to be careful there?
Oh, definitely things to consider. Official MCP servers built by the app developers, usually easier to set up, more reliable, supported. Unofficial ones, maybe community projects like the Blender ones seem to be, might need more technical fiddling to get working. And that brings up a really crucial point, security. Using an unofficial server for Blender might be fine. The data isn't super sensitive, perhaps. But for anything involving personal information, financial data, logins, you absolutely need to stick with official, trusted MCP servers. You have to be careful about where your data is going and who built the connection.
Right, security first, always. So looking ahead then, what does all this mean for AI agents, for automation?
Yeah.
It feels like we're just scratching the surface.
I think we absolutely are. The potential is huge. We're likely heading towards a future where AI agents just have a standard MCP client built in. That makes connecting to any tool with an MCP server trivial. Think about agonistic shopping, that term Shubham used. Your AI agent acting like a high-powered assistant, finding the best flights on Skyscanner, the right hotel on Booking, maybe even buying something on Amazon for you, all through MCPs, handling complex stuff across different services without you lifting a finger.
And it could go beyond just software, couldn't it? Physical devices, too.
That's the really far-reaching vision, yeah. Imagine your fridge, your coffee maker, your smart home devices all having their own little MCP server. Suddenly, your AI agent can interact with and automate your physical environment, too. And the fact that Anthropic is already moving Claude's MCP features into their paid pro versions, that tells you something. It signals that this isn't just theory. There's intense competition brewing. LLMs and tools are racing to offer these powerful action-taking capabilities. It's happening now.
Wow. So yeah, to sum it up, MCPs are basically giving these language models the hands they always needed, moving them from just knowing stuff to actually doing stuff.
That's a perfect summary. MCPs are the new backbone, the new hands and feet for LLMs. They let AI bridge the gap between theory and practice, between conversation and action. And like you said, it's not some far-off sci-fi future. It's rapidly becoming today's reality, and it's going to change how you interact with technology probably sooner than we think.
That really is a powerful thought. Just imagine the explosion of new tools and capabilities once everything speaks this common AI language. What's the first thing you'll ask your AI to do? If this deep dive got you thinking and you want to keep up with what's happening on the cutting edge, well, we explore topics like this regularly. Definitely check out our other deep dives. And on a related note, if you enjoy these kinds of in-depth explorations, you might also really like Le Podcast FIP, worth checking out. Finally, a quick ask: if you're getting value from what we do here, we're actually getting really close to 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It will really help us reach that milestone.